Hey everybody, this video is going to be for those that feel their marriage may be slipping right now, for those who feel that their marriage is just fine and doesn't need any help, as well as those folks that are just looking to maybe strengthen their relationship connection with their significant other. Right now, just some quick questions for you. Would you and your spouse each agree on the strength of your relationship? What do you do to keep their love tank full? And what do they do to keep your love tank full? If you hesitated or don't entirely know how to answer those questions, then you might want to stick around and see if this video has some information that's helpful for you. We're going to be covering one of the best marriage books that's ever been written. The basics of that book and how you can apply those principles to your relationship. My name is Dustin York. At the time of this recording, I am a student mental health counselor intern. While I am a therapist, I am not your therapist. If you are taking on a DIY mental health and relationship strategy, I hope this helps. If you feel stuck on things or you're unclear after watching this, I highly recommend that you connect with a therapist. The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman is a tool I use with couples that has been quite useful. The concepts in the book are intuitive, easy to follow, and help create a common dialogue between significant others. I'm providing a link to Dr. Chapman's website below. It's not an affiliate link. I'm still really new at this with these videos, but I just figured that with over 20 million copies having been sold since 1992, that others feel that this book works pretty well as well. So what are the 5 love languages? So to put it simple before we go into what they are, what I would say they are is actions and behaviors we use to show our significant other that we love and care about them. As the book breaks them down, we've got the 5. We have 1, words of affirmation or compliments. 2, which is going to be quality time. 3, which is gifts. 4, acts of service. And 5, physical touch. So another piece to keep in mind here, or a very important key, is that what I find with many couples is they provide the love language that they feel is most important to their significant other, without necessarily understanding which one is important to the significant other. And so what happens a lot of times in relationships is we find that people are frustrated because they're giving their best and what they know fills their tank up and makes them happy. And on the receiving end, it's just not being received the same way, or the person is not responding the way they think they should. So really quick, just to give a breakdown of these, and the book really gives a lot more detail and it's worth getting. There's also an audiobook version available that you can listen to pretty quick. But words of affirmation or compliments, taking the time to say, hey, you know, I really appreciate that you're of good moral character, or I really appreciate the way you look tonight. You dressed wonderfully for going out. There's a lot of different ways you can say that. It's going to be dependent on that person. Quality time is an important one, and it's something that needs to be defined between the couple. Because what some people may feel is quality time, others may not. And I'll give you an example, is that somebody may think, hey, if I'm sitting there with you on the couch, we're spending quality time. While another person may say, hey, if you're sitting next to me on the couch but you're on your phone, I don't consider that quality time. Sometimes people consider going out on a date and going to dinner a specific item as quality time. So there's lots of different ways that can be explored. Third is gifts, which is an interesting one, because you'll find sometimes that somebody will give flowers, or they'll buy tickets to a concert, or they'll do something, and the other person maybe getting gifts just doesn't fill their tank up. So gifts can be anything that you give the other person, and sometimes they blend into number 4, which is acts of service. So acts of service could be taking the car out to get it washed, filling up the tank, and bringing it back and just saying, hey, your car is clean and your tank is full, enjoy. It could also be, bringing your significant other, their favorite meal while they're working late. The last one is physical touch. which I think it's important to note that even just a hug can be physical touch. A lot of times people will put, sex or romantic relationship stuff in there, and it may just be, hey, hand on the back and saying, you did an awesome job. I really, appreciate you, or I care about you. So defining that with the other person is very important. So now that we've covered what the five love languages are, here are some ways you can use this new knowledge to help you in your relationship. So I got about 4 things here that I want to cover. So one is to know your top 2 love languages and also to know your partner's. It's important that you explore this for yourself. You can look at the book. There are some online tests that you can take. The website provided, it has a relatively, $35 for a test seems expensive to me, may not be expensive to you. But take the time to explore and understand this, because it's important for you to know your love languages, but it's also very important for you to know your partner's love languages. And to just give you an example here is that, getting words of affirmation may just be number 1 for you. When you hear that you are pretty, or when you hear that you have done the right thing, or when you hear that you're the best at X, that may just fill your tank up and you just feel so totally loved by that other person. That other person may have words of affirmation as number 5 on their list. And you can say things to them, and while they're nice and they're truthful, they may just not fill that tank up like they do for you. So being able to understand that those differences is extremely important. So the other one is to talk to your partner about this and really find out where they're at. And also be very honest about what is important to you so that they're not trying to play the guessing game, right? Reading minds is never a pathway to a healthy relationship. And then just be careful and be mindful that default can happen to you where you'll fall into providing your number 1 to them, expecting them to reciprocate or to feel as full as you do when you get that. The second item here is to try providing at least one top love language item to your partner daily without expecting anything in return. The reason I say this is that if you cannot do this without expecting anything in return, if you find yourself keeping score, if you find yourself feeling stuck, not feeling appreciated, or even if you find yourself listening to me right now and saying, I've done all that and they don't care or they're not returning, you're at a point right now where you probably need to get some help. And I'm not saying you've got a problem, but it's sometimes when we get stuck like that, if we don't get help and we continue to let that frustration pile on, things can blow up and they can end in a catastrophe, right? Or a way that we really don't want them to. The third item is to check in with each other regularly. And this is something that I recommend people put on a schedule. It's almost like going to the gym, right? If we don't plan it out for our day, we're not going to end up getting there. And if we don't plan out things for our relationship, like checking in with each other to make sure that we are satisfying the other individual, then we may fall short, right? Or we may end up going a week or 2 weeks before we've, done something that the other person appreciates. So it's good to check in with them, check in with yourself, maybe even throw something on a calendar so that you don't forget. The final one is the book has a lot more than I'm covering in this short video. And so what I would recommend is that you check out the book. Like I said earlier, there's an audiobook version of it as well. I don't get anything from it if you buy the book, but you could get a whole lot to help your relationship. So I would say that. In wrapping this up, I would just say that we've covered the 5 love languages, how they can be applied to your situation. Beyond the languages, it's key to remember that your main love language may not be your partner's. Additionally, it's important to understand that within each language, there are differences in application. We talked about that earlier in saying that physical touch for one may be sex, physical touch for another may just be cuddling on the couch. So just some questions that you don't need to answer for me, but you can maybe answer for yourself now. What are your top 2 love languages? What are your spouse's, partner's, or significant other's top 2 love languages? Would they agree with your assessment? And how can this knowledge help your relationship? I wish you all the best. Please like, subscribe, and share with others who could use this help. Thank you.